Why certain people sense death before it arrives. Edgar Cayce. You may have heard whispers of extraordinary people who seem to know when a life is about to end. They sense it before it arrives. It is subtle, often fleeting, a pause in the air, a shiver that travels through the chest, a quiet certainty that cannot be explained. To understand this, we turn to Edgar Cayce, America's most documented psychic. Known as the Sleeping Prophet, Cayce offered guidance through his readings, often while in a trance-like state, revealing the soul's inner architecture, the invisible threads that connect our lives, and the subtle signals the universe sends to guide us. His work was preserved meticulously in the ARE archives, a trove of knowledge that continues to illuminate the interplay between the physical and the spiritual. Through his visions, Cayce described how the soul communicates with itself and with higher guidance. Dreams, intuitions, moments of sudden clarity, these are not random. They are invitations to attune to the deeper rhythm of life. Even a brief sense of forewarning, a fleeting apprehension, can be understood as part of this larger spiritual framework. Consider for a moment the patterns he observed. Those who sense approaching death are often highly attuned to subtle energetic cues. Their senses are finely tuned, not to control or manipulate, but to perceive. Dreams may offer warnings, or gentle nudges may guide action. In some cases, Cayce noted, these individuals avoided harm themselves, or were able to provide comfort and preparation for others. This is not a story of fear. It is a story of agency, of choice, and of the loving architecture woven into existence. Cayce's readings remind us that our awareness, when cultivated, becomes a protective instrument. The signals are there. They have meaning. They are there to be understood. As you listen, imagine stepping into a quiet library of light, shelves filled with records of countless souls, each page a story of guidance and awakening. This is the space Cayce described, the ARE archives, the inner hall of insight. Here you are invited to witness the subtle currents that guide life, without judgment, without haste. And yet, what happens next is even more mysterious. There is a pattern, a rhythm, a divine sequence that unfolds around every life, even when unseen. Some people notice it before it manifests fully. They feel it in their bones, in their breath, in the stillness between heartbeats. This is the phenomenon we are exploring, the intuitive premonition of death, the subtle perception of thresholds, the awareness of life's fragile and luminous edge. Not everyone experiences this. Not everyone is tuned to the quiet signals that ripple across space, time, and the soul. Yet, for those who do, the experience is profound. It is as if the soul has a map, a soft compass, guiding it toward love, preparation, and clarity. Cayce often described this as an attunement, a harmony with the unseen currents that flow through all living things. Think of the soul as sovereign, moving freely across planes of awareness. Love is the guiding principle here, not fear. The signs are gentle, patient, and deeply compassionate. They are meant to illuminate, to prepare, to reveal the sacred order in a moment that might otherwise seem chaotic or tragic. You may imagine yourself standing at the edge of a forest at twilight. The shadows stretch long, but the path is lined with lanterns. Some glow faintly, others brightly, each representing the signals, intuitions, and nudges that you might perceive. The forest is neither dangerous nor dark. It is simply waiting for your awareness to align with its quiet rhythm. Through this journey, you will see how intuitive sensing works, how energy shifts, how presence is felt, how premonitions arise. You will begin to recognize that what feels mysterious or frightening is, in truth, an invitation to attune, to participate consciously in the unfolding of life, and to honor your own perception. And as you step further along this path, you may realize that the very act of noticing, the awareness itself, is a kind of protection. It is a threshold that prepares you gently for what is to come. And yet, what happens next is even more revealing. You may not notice it at first. A subtle shiver down your spine, a faint pause in your heartbeat, a quiet knowing that something is about to shift. It comes softly like a shadow moving across the floor in the early morning, or the hush of wind through tall grass. These are the first inklings of awareness, the gentle stirrings of the soul as it begins to sense the rhythms that lie just beyond ordinary perception. In this threshold, nothing is forced. The feeling is natural. It may be a fleeting emotion, a dream that lingers after waking, a whisper of insight that cannot yet be named. It is your soul's language, an invitation to listen. Cayce described this as the quiet alignment of the self with unseen currents. It is neither frightening nor urgent. It simply asks that you be present, attentive, and willing to observe. Imagine standing before a grand door. Light filters through its edges, mist curling along the threshold. You do not need to push the door open yet, simply noticing its presence, sensing its weight, feeling the warmth of the light. That is the first step. Your awareness is emerging, like the slow bloom of dawn. You begin to feel that life carries messages, subtle and persistent, waiting to be recognized. This stage is often accompanied by small, synchronistic events, a coincidental phone call, a dream that mirrors waking life, a sudden intuition about someone you love. These are not random, they are signposts, gentle nudges guiding you to tune into the deeper currents of existence. They remind you that awareness is a gift, a thread connecting you to the invisible architecture of the soul, where guidance and protection converge. And yet, what happens next is even more mysterious. As your awareness deepens, the world begins to reflect your inner landscape. Synchronicities appear, timing aligns in curious ways, and the signs grow more persistent. You notice them first as gentle nudges, a familiar song at a precise moment, an unexpected encounter, a phrase in conversation that echoes an inner thought. These are mirrors reflecting back your own state, your attachments, your emotions, your readiness to perceive. At this stage, the soul asks for honest observation. It is not punishment, it is initiation. You may feel uncertainty, discomfort, even fear. These sensations are part of the process. Cayce often noted that premonitions and intuitive sensing are intimately tied to self-reflection. The clearer your inner landscape, the more the signs reveal themselves without distortion. Picture yourself standing before a pool of still water. Your reflection shimmers, sometimes distorted by the wind, sometimes perfectly clear. Each ripple carries information, your fears, your love, your regrets, your hope. Observing without judgment, simply noticing what arises, is the essential work of this stage. The soul teaches you patience, discernment, and presence. Through these mirrors, small lessons appear. When to step back, when to act, when to trust the quiet stirrings that hint at something beyond the ordinary. You begin to recognize that every coincidence, every subtle warning, is part of a larger design. And while the sensations may be subtle, they are real, and they are instructive. And yet, the journey is only beginning. What emerges next is guidance, precise and luminous, waiting to reveal itself. As your awareness deepens, you begin to notice the subtle whispers that guide the soul. These signals often arrive softly, almost imperceptibly, perhaps in a dream that lingers long after waking, or a voice within that speaks with gentle authority. Sometimes it is the coincidence that stops you in your tracks, a chance encounter, a phrase overheard, a fleeting intuition that cannot be ignored. Cayce often described these signals as emanations from the higher self, or guidance offered by unseen helpers in the borderlands. between waking and dreaming. Angels, guides, or the subtle intelligence of the soul itself communicate in ways that honor your freedom. They do not force, do not demand. They suggest, invite, and illuminate. Imagine a night when the air seems unusually still. A familiar melody drifts through an open window. Your mind catches it, and suddenly you are drawn to call someone you care for, sensing they need comfort. Moments like this are the language of guidance, woven delicately into the fabric of daily life. They remind you that you are never truly alone, that unseen forces work alongside your intentions, ready to assist when you are open to receive. Yet there is subtlety here. These signs can be misread, ignored, or misunderstood. A premonition may appear as coincidence, a warning may feel like anxiety. This is the gentle challenge of awareness, to pause, to discern, to trust without grasping. The soul invites observation, not fear. And yet, what happens next is even more illuminating. There is a place within you, sacred and quiet, where understanding unfolds effortlessly. Imagine a hall lined with mirrors, corridors of light stretching into infinity, shelves of glowing scrolls. This is the inner temple, the repository of the soul's knowledge, the Akashic records where guidance and premonition converge. Here, insight arrives without judgment, without shame. Dreams, symbols, and intuitive flashes are simply doors into this inner library. Cayce noted that those who approach this space with openness often receive information that prepares them and their loved ones for events yet to unfold. A premonition is not merely forewarning, it is preparation, a chance to align with what is coming, to act with clarity and love. Picture yourself walking through this temple, pausing at a scroll that shimmers with understanding. The words are not external, they are felt. You know, without reasoning, what needs attention. A loved one's safety, a decision to be made, a quiet act of presence. Each revelation offers choice. The soul's guidance is a reflection of love, always seeking to harmonize with your life's unfolding. And yet, the patterns continue to weave, extending beyond the individual. The signals you perceive are rarely isolated. They are strands in a tapestry, threads woven across lifetimes, intergenerational currents, and karmic resonance. Events, relationships, and even the timing of your perceptions often reflect patterns that repeat until acknowledged. Cayce observed that premonitions and intuitive sensing often have roots in past experiences, perhaps a lesson unlearned in a previous life, a repeated familial pattern, or the echoes of a soul contract long established. When these threads are recognized, the soul moves toward harmony. When ignored, the same lessons may appear again, whispering insistently through coincidence and intuition. Imagine holding a skein of light in your hands. Each strand is a choice, a memory, a connection to someone you have known across time. The threads shimmer, intertwine, sometimes not, sometimes glow with clarity. Awareness allows you to trace them gently, to see the interconnections, and to understand that sensing the end of a life is never merely a solitary experience. It is a reflection of shared soul journeys. And yet, even as patterns become clear, the power of choice remains. Even with guidance, even with insight, the soul retains complete sovereignty. You are invited to observe, to act, or to release. Every decision carries consequences, sometimes subtle, sometimes profound. Ignoring a premonition may be safe, or it may lead to missed opportunities for comfort, healing, or preparation. Heeding it may bring clarity, or simply the peace of alignment with love. Cayce emphasized that choice is the mechanism through which the soul matures. Love and discernment are the guiding principles. When you act from awareness, with intention and compassion, you are weaving safety, protection, and understanding into your own life and the lives of those you touch. When you step back, Without judgment, you honor the freedom inherent in all souls. Picture yourself at a crossroads. Paths stretch into misted valleys and luminous hills. One path carries the whisper of guidance, another the quiet of reflection, another the stillness of letting go. The decision is yours, and whatever path you choose, the soul is supported. Each choice strengthens your capacity to perceive, to attune, and to act with love. And yet, the journey continues, inviting integration, reflection, and the unfolding of what these insights mean in the world you live in. As you move through the rhythms of your day, the subtle awareness you've begun to cultivate need not be confined to dreams or quiet moments. Each sunrise, each breath, is an invitation to attune more fully to the pulse of your own soul and to the gentle currents of guidance that flow around you. Cayce often spoke of receptivity as a skill, something honed through quiet practice, not forced or demanded. Begin with simple acts, a few deep breaths upon waking, a pause to notice the sensations in your body, the light that filters through the windows, the sounds that rise and fall around you. These moments are your thresholds, tiny gateways into presence. Journaling your dreams, reflecting on the coincidences that brush your path, or simply observing your own emotions with curiosity and compassion. These are the rituals that strengthen the mind's clarity and the soul's discernment. When a premonition, a sudden knowing, or a subtle nudge arises, remember, it is never meant to frighten. It is an invitation. It calls you to act with love, to prepare with care, to honor the sacredness of each moment. Your awareness becomes a shield not of fear, but of alignment. You learn to recognize the signs without clinging to them, to trust without needing to control, to move through life as a conscious participant in a vast, unfolding tapestry. In this daily attunement, even ordinary tasks, pouring tea, walking to the store, listening to a friend, can be transformed into subtle practices of receptivity. Each action, each pause strengthens the threads of protection, of presence, of connection. You begin to notice the luminous signals in the mundane. You begin to remember that love, discernment, and choice are the true measures of spiritual safety. And yet, the soul's awareness is never merely inward. There is also space for the hearts of those you hold dear. Grief is the language of love. When someone you care for moves beyond this physical realm, the ache you feel is not a punishment, but the echo of deep connection. According to Cayce's vision, those who sense endings often do so because the soul is attuned to these currents, glimpsing what is often invisible to the ordinary senses. Close your eyes and imagine them enveloped in light. See this light extending outward, shimmering with warmth, safety, and love. Feel it wrapping around their essence, unbroken by distance, unshaken by change. You are not powerless. Your attention, your compassion, your prayers, these are active forces. They extend beyond time, reaching into the silent spaces where souls reside, offering comfort and continuity. Let your mind's eye trace the silver cord that connects you, a tether of energy, luminous and strong. Through it flows peace, the quiet reassurance that your connection endures. Grief transforms here into gentle awareness. Sorrow becomes reverent presence. Longing becomes a mirror of eternal love. Your acts of remembrance, your quiet reflections, your prayers, all are ripples in the greater ocean of care that surrounds every soul. And yet, even as you hold them in your heart, there is space to consider your own unfolding, your own courage in meeting what may come. Now, allow your awareness to turn gently inward toward your own becoming. Picture yourself in the weeks, months, or years ahead. You are calm, centered, luminous. Your presence is steady, and your perception is clear. You meet this future self with compassion, understanding, and acceptance. Cayce's teachings remind us that sensing what others might experience or glimpsing moments of transition is not a burden, it is a gift. To embrace it fully, you need courage and sovereignty. Imagine your future self offering guidance, reminders to breathe, to honor the signals, to act with love. There is no fear here, only alignment, only the quiet power of awareness held with care. See yourself navigating thresholds with grace, choosing when to observe, when to act, and when to release. The visions, the whispers, the premonitions, they are tools, not chains. They invite you to walk in partnership with your soul, guided by love, protected by discernment. You are the traveler, the observer, the one who holds choice in gentle hands. In this space, courage blooms naturally. You understand that knowing is not knowing everything, but trusting what matters. You are prepared, not because the path is certain, but because your heart is attuned. Each step, each pause, each quiet reflection strengthens your capacity to meet life with serenity, presence, and unwavering compassion. And yet, the journey does not end with visualization alone. It extends into the world you inhabit and the life you choose to lead. Now bring your attention to the quiet hum of presence that surrounds you. Love, in its purest essence, is the thread that connects all premonitions, all signals, all whispers from the unseen. According to Cayce's insights, the heart is the ultimate compass, guiding the soul with luminous precision. It is not knowledge alone, nor fear, nor obligation. It is love that anchors you in the threshold, that aligns your choices with the subtle currents of protection. Imagine your daily life as a delicate instrument, each thought, each pause, each act of kindness tuning its strings. Meditation, reflection, mindful observation, these practices are the subtle keys of attunement. They strengthen your awareness, reinforcing a protective resonance that is invisible, yet profoundly real. With each conscious breath, your perception sharpens, your intuition deepens, and your connection to guidance grows luminous. Love is not a force to be earned or measured. It is the air in which the soul moves. When you encounter premonitions or the sense that a threshold approaches, let love be your response. Let discernment, courage, and compassion guide your actions. Protection is not only about avoiding harm, it is about moving through the world aligned with the sacred currents that flow through every life. And so, as your awareness deepens, you recognize that the guidance you receive is ongoing. It is woven into your daily movements, your quiet moments, your dreams. It is subtle, luminous, and ever-present. And yet, the journey does not end with attunement alone. It extends into the reflection and care you bring to yourself and to others. As we draw the journey toward its quiet close, take a moment to breathe. Imagine the thresholds you have crossed, the signals you have noticed, the choices you have made. Picture the guides, the angels, the luminous threads that have moved alongside you, unseen yet steadfast. Cayce described such threads as woven into the very fabric of your life, connecting you to guidance, protection, and love across time and space. These threads are subtle, not forceful. They move through your days, through your nights, whispering of care, reminding you of the soul's sovereignty. Protection, insight, and premonition are not occasional gifts. They are ongoing, quiet companions on your path. Each day, each breath, each reflective pause strengthens them. Let this moment settle into your awareness. The journey of sensing, of loving, of observing is never separate from your life. It flows naturally into your relationships, your choices, your daily rhythms. You are accompanied, you are seen, and though the invisible currents are often beyond the grasp of ordinary sight, they are real, luminous, and enduring. And yet, as you carry this understanding forward, there is an invitation, not just to observe, but to engage, to reflect, to attune. Take a gentle pause now. Consider journaling, a dream, a premonition, or a subtle feeling that has lingered in your awareness. Breathe into it. Let the light of understanding and compassion flow over it. Meditate, even for a few moments, on the unseen guidance that surrounds you. You may choose to share your experience, to reflect within a community of fellow travelers, or simply to hold it quietly in your heart. Each choice strengthens your attunement. Each act of reflection deepens your connection to the sacred currents flowing through life. Remember this always. Your dreams matter. Your observations, your courage, your capacity to love and notice. These are the gifts of your soul. You are not merely a witness to life's mysteries. You are the traveler. You are eternal. Your soul's journey begins now. As you take another deep breath, imagine stepping into a hall of mirrors. It is quiet here, luminous, the walls reflecting not just light, but memory. Each mirror holds an image of a life lived, a choice made, a moment remembered. This is the first passage, the soul's own reflection, neither judgment nor punishment, but clarity. Cayce described this space as a mirror hall, a sacred corridor where the soul reviews its life in perfect, gentle honesty. Every act, every thought, every unspoken intention is laid before you, not to shame, but to illuminate. The purpose is understanding, alignment, and awareness, like seeing yourself in sunlight after a long winter. In this hall, the concept of sudden departure begins to make sense, though it may still feel paradoxical. Some souls leave quickly, unexpectedly, because they have reached a natural completion point. The lessons meant for this lifetime have been absorbed. The experiences intended for growth, for awakening, for contribution, have been fully realized. And yet, to the human eye, there is no warning. There are no flashing signs or announcements. There is only the quiet movement of the soul toward readiness, a shift that the personality may never anticipate until the body is no longer present. Visualize yourself walking slowly down the hall, pausing before each mirror. You see reflections of your own life, your own choices, your own interactions. You may recognize the patterns, the moments of courage, the times of fear, the decisions made out of love or confusion. Each reflection is clear, sharp, yet tender, inviting compassion rather than judgment. The soul perceives completeness, even when the mind cannot. And this is the tension at the heart of sudden transitions. The soul knows it is ready to move on, even if the world around it is unaware. Cayce spoke often of the love inherent in this review. It is not a tribunal. There is no sentence passed. The mirror hall is a place of awareness, a place where the soul sees itself from the perspective of eternity, and in seeing, it understands. Patterns emerge, lessons crystallize, and the subtle, invisible threads of destiny become visible in their entirety. This clarity, this alignment, is what allows a soul to step through the first passage with grace, even when the timing feels abrupt to those left behind. And yet, you may wonder, how does a soul know it is complete? How can it feel so certain, so ready, while the world still breathes, moves, and waits? The answer lies in the intimate knowing of the soul, the profound intelligence that exists beyond the linear mind. Every life carries a rhythm, a series of thresholds, a divine cadence that the soul senses even when the body is unaware. Completion is not marked by age, by circumstance, or by external events. It is measured by resonance. When a soul has harmonized with its own purpose, when the lessons have been lived, when the growth intended has been achieved, there comes a quiet moment of readiness. The doorway appears, and the soul moves through naturally, inevitably, and lovingly. Imagine now the faces of those left behind, the hearts that ache, the hands reaching for a presence that is no longer there. In this mirror hall, Cayce's vision offers a subtle reassurance. The departure is not an ending. It is a continuation, a movement into a realm where learning, love, and growth persist. Even in absence, the soul remains connected. The threads of influence, inspiration, and guidance continue to weave through the lives of others, visible only to the heart that chooses to see. This is the gentle paradox. The soul departs, yet its presence remains, echoing softly, like the lingering warmth of sunlight after a cloud has passed. And so, as you pause here, take a deep breath and imagine your own reflections laid before you. See them with compassion, see them with curiosity, feel the quiet completeness that resides within each choice, each lesson, each moment of love given or received. Even if your mind resists, your soul already knows the truth, that life is a series of passages, that departure is a step along a path, and that suddenness does not erase meaning. And yet, even as the first passage completes, the journey is far from over. There is more to witness, more to feel, more to awaken within yourself. The mirrors begin to fade, the hall opens into a new corridor, and the next phase awaits, a place where the soul encounters its own liberation, its own unfolding, and the mysteries of transition deepen. This is where we continue, stepping now toward the second passage, where the unseen becomes even more vivid, and the journey of the soul reveals its next design. As you move forward in your awareness, imagine a quiet room, the kind of stillness that feels like the pause between two heartbeats. It is here that the soul begins to perceive the subtle guidance that surrounds it. Cayce described these presences not as grand or dramatic, but as quiet helpers, gentle whispers of intention, a soft urging that moves the soul in harmony with its path. They are not always loud, they do not shout or insist. Instead, they appear as intuitions, gentle feelings, fleeting visions, or a sense of calm where there once was tension. They exist to guide without imposing, to illuminate without fear, to support without removing the sacred responsibility of choice. Many of these signals are almost invisible to the mind, precisely because they are meant for the soul, not the personality. You may remember moments in your own life when a decision felt instinctive, when a path opened quietly before you, or when a deep knowing arose in a moment of stillness. These are the echoes of guidance, subtle reminders of alignment. Often they arrive as emotional softening, a sudden compassion for a person you might otherwise resist, a release of a burden you didn't even know you were carrying, a sense of clarity in a place of confusion. These are the signals that the soul perceives, that the consciousness behind the body can recognize, and that gently prepare it for transition. Imagine standing in a sun-dappled forest. The wind moves through the leaves with intention, though you cannot see its source. You hear the rustle, feel the warmth on your skin, sense the gentle shifting of the earth beneath your feet. These are the quiet helpers moving in ways that are subtle, often unnoticed, but profoundly present. They touch the soul directly, bypassing the busy chatter of the mind. They work in harmony with the divine sequence, ensuring that every step, every shift, every pause contributes to the unfolding of purpose and alignment. Yet there is a paradox here, one that Cayce spoke of with care. If the guidance were obvious, if it shouted with urgency or demanded attention, it would interfere with free will. The soul's journey is sacred because it is chosen. Warnings that are too explicit can create fear, hesitation, or resistance. The quietness of the guidance preserves the integrity of choice, allowing the soul to move willingly, knowingly, in accordance with its own inner rhythm. In this way, the subtlety of the signals is not a failing. It is an intentional design, a testament to the respect the universe holds for autonomy, for learning, for the unfolding of love through free choice. Take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Perhaps you have felt nudges in the night, or a sudden clarity in the midst of confusion. Perhaps you have sensed the presence of someone departed, their love reaching across the veil, not as interruption, but as reminder. These signals, these quiet helpers, are everywhere. They are in dreams that linger long after you wake. They are in fleeting emotions that seem unconnected to any event. They are in the gentle resonance of a heart recognizing the truth it already knows. They are the subtle choreography of guidance, designed to awaken awareness, support growth, and align the soul with its next passage. Now imagine the soul at the edge of transition, aware of the pressure of threshold, aware of the mirrors that reveal completion, and now sensing these gentle currents of guidance. There is no urgency, there is no demand, there is only the soft invitation to release, to trust, to attune to what is unseen but profoundly real. These helpers offer reassurance, direction, and, above all, love. They prepare the soul for the movement ahead, so that when the moment of passage arrives, it can be embraced with grace rather than fear. And for those left behind, grieving the absence of a loved one, these whispers still reach. Perhaps in a memory, a sudden insight, or a dream, the quiet helpers extend their presence, bridging the space between the worlds. They remind the heart that departure does not sever connection, that love persists beyond form, that the soul's journey continues, even when the mind struggles to comprehend. As you breathe now, feel the subtle presence of these guides. Sense the softening in your own chest, the gentle easing of tension, the quiet reassurance that accompanies awareness. The journey of the soul is always accompanied. Even when unseen, even when unrecognized, it is never alone. And yet, what happens next is even more profound. The soul, aligned and attuned, begins to move into its next phase of passage, where the boundary between what is known and what is eternal begins to dissolve. This is where we continue, stepping into the intimate encounter of the soul's liberation, the next chapter of awakening, the stage where presence becomes light and the journey unfolds fully. As you allow your awareness to expand, imagine stepping into a vast hall, a place of quiet grandeur where light seems to hum softly against the walls. This is the Hall of Records, a symbolic space where the soul perceives the full breadth of its journey. Cayce described such realms as openings into the greater continuity of life, where one can see the threads of past, present, and future interwoven in luminous patterns. Here there is no judgment, no shame, no fear, only clarity, only understanding, only the unfolding of a vast, intricate map. You walk slowly, your footsteps muted against the smooth floor. Each step reveals layers of experience, not just from this life, but from lifetimes that preceded it, stretching backward and forward like light across water. You begin to perceive how seemingly isolated events are connected, how moments of choice resonate far beyond their immediate appearance. It is here that sudden death begins to take shape in a different light. What appears abrupt to the mind is often the soul moving in alignment with a larger pattern, a karmic rhythm, a thread of destiny that cannot be broken without disrupting the coherence of the whole. Imagine now that each record is a filament of light, delicate yet unbreakable, weaving a story that only the soul can comprehend. Some lives conclude earlier than expected, not by accident, but because the contract assigned to that life has been fulfilled. Perhaps the lessons intended were fully realized. Perhaps the opportunities for growth, service, or awakening reached their natural conclusion. In these moments, the soul steps aside gracefully, moving into the next passage without delaying the unfolding of others' journeys, without disturbing the balance of the greater design. The timing may feel shocking, incomprehensible, even cruel to those left behind, But within the records, the logic is precise, harmonious, and profoundly loving. Pause for a moment and consider the magnitude of this perspective. You are standing in imagination in a place where every choice, every action, every intention is visible, interconnected, and part of a luminous whole. The soul sees arcs that span centuries, lives, and dimensions. It understands the resonance of departure, the ripple effects of absence, and the necessity of alignment. Sudden deaths in this context are not errors or accidents. They are the unfolding of agreements made before the current lifetime began, contracts written with foresight, care, and the wisdom of the soul's own evolution. And yet, even as you contemplate this, the experience is not merely intellectual. It is emotional, visceral. The records do not simply show facts. They show the meaning behind the facts. You begin to perceive the subtle lessons carried by each encounter, the hidden purposes of moments that once seemed trivial, and the delicate orchestration that allows growth and healing to continue across lives. Perhaps a loved one departed suddenly, but in the records their presence, influence, and love remain luminous threads, weaving through the lives of those they touched. They continue in ways seen and unseen, in ways felt and remembered. Cayce often emphasized that the soul does not view life as a fragmented sequence, but as a unified, flowing tapestry. Here, in the Hall of Records, you understand why timing matters. Some departures occur precisely when continuation in the physical plane would disrupt a larger karmic alignment or postpone lessons yet to be learned by others. Even the pain of loss has a purpose, subtle and unseen, shaping the lives of those left behind in ways that may only reveal themselves over time. This is the deeper logic of existence, the harmony that governs transition, the grace that allows the soul to complete its contracts and move forward without resistance. Now, allow yourself to feel the expansive clarity of this moment. See the threads of your own life, your own choices, your own lessons laid out before you. Witness the pattern of your soul's journey, the unseen intelligence guiding each step, each breath, each movement. Recognize that your presence in this world is part of a larger orchestration, and that departures, sudden or gradual, exist within the same sacred rhythm. Even when comprehension comes slowly, even when grief presses against the chest, the map is coherent, complete, and suffused with love. And yet, the journey is far from over. As the records continue to unfold, as the tapestry of life reveals more of its hidden designs, the soul approaches the next threshold. The signals, the guides, the lessons, and the subtle pressures have all prepared this moment. Now comes the deeper understanding of transition itself, the intimate passage into realms beyond form, the embrace of continuity, and the awakening to the eternal nature of being. This is where we continue, stepping into the next phase, where vision expands into transcendence, and the soul's story continues without end. As you continue your inward journey, imagine stepping into a vast web of light, threads stretching in all directions, connecting points of experience across time. This is the realm of pattern memory, a subtle, intricate lattice where the soul carries momentum from life to life. Cayce described this as the continuity of consciousness, the invisible thread that allows learning, growth, and love to move forward beyond a single lifetime. Here, the story of the soul is not linear, but cyclical, rhythmic, and endlessly interwoven. Every life leaves an echo, every choice a resonance, every lesson a vibration that flows into the next incarnation. Consider for a moment how a sudden departure might appear from the perspective of pattern memory. What seems abrupt, incomprehensible, or unfair in the temporal mind is often a moment of culmination, the completion of an arc that began long before this lifetime. Perhaps a struggle faced, a pattern repeated, or a relationship formed is being resolved now in a single precise passage. The soul, aware of the continuity that stretches across centuries, knows the timing. The personality, tethered to the present, may only perceive absence. And yet, endings in this context are rarely absolute. They are mid-sentences, fragments of a much larger narrative that extends beyond the visible, beyond form, beyond what the heart can yet comprehend. Imagine walking along a river of light, each current carrying a memory, a lesson, a relationship from past lifetimes. Some threads shimmer brightly, fully realized. Others flicker softly, awaiting completion in the next turn of existence. The soul moves gracefully among these currents, feeling the pull and flow of each thread, sensing which arcs are complete, which remain, and which are ready to be released. Sudden deaths from this perspective are not interruptions, they are harmonizations. They resolve a particular pattern, allowing the tapestry of experience to remain coherent while leaving room for the threads that continue elsewhere. Visualize now the lives of those left behind, those who feel loss so deeply. Imagine that the departed soul is not truly gone, but traveling along a different thread in a different current, carrying forward the love, the lessons, and the connections that will continue to influence those still present. The grief you feel is real, and it is sacred, yet it is also part of a larger rhythm, a pattern that the heart may only come to understand gradually. The end of one arc is not the cessation of influence. The love shared, the wisdom imparted, the example lived. These ripple outward, unseen yet undeniably present, touching lives in ways both subtle and profound. Cayce often emphasized that the soul experiences existence as a continuum, with each incarnation providing opportunities to refine, balance, and deepen understanding. Pattern memory allows the soul to perceive this continuum, to recognize where lessons began, how they evolved, and where they reach completion. Even the seemingly sudden transitions are threaded into this design. In this light, loss is reframed, not as a rupture, but as a step along a larger journey. Endings are often mid-sentences, moments in a narrative that spans lifetimes, waiting for the next chapter to bring resolution and insight. Now, take a moment to imagine your own thread. See it stretching backward, illuminated with experiences, choices, and relationships. See it stretching forward, extending into possibilities, lessons yet to be learned, and love yet to be shared. Every life you have lived, every moment of awareness, contributes to the pattern that defines your soul. Even departures that feel sudden are part of this coherent design. They resolve threads, release energy, and allow the soul to continue its journey without obstruction, with purpose, and with grace. Feel, too, the quiet presence of the soul's continuity surrounding you. Each thread of memory carries intention, guidance, and love. Each pattern completed makes space for new learning. Each departure, each ending, each shift is both conclusion and prelude, both farewell and invitation. In this way, the universe honors both the individual soul and the collective tapestry, ensuring that each life, each experience, and each relationship contributes to the larger story of evolution and awakening. And yet, even as you witness this interwoven pattern, the journey presses onward, the threads stretch further, the light expands, and the soul prepares for the next revelation. What lies ahead is the culmination of understanding, the embracing of the eternal, and the soft yet powerful recognition that life, death, and continuity are but different movements within the same infinite symphony. This is where we continue, stepping gently toward the final phases, where the soul fully awakens to its eternal nature, and the story of transition unfolds with clarity, compassion, and transcendence.